Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Monday Morning Jumpstart. My name is Karen Hilton, and I am founder and chief vision caster for the Rock Your Vision Masterclass community. I gather here with some of my favorite humans right here every Monday morning at 8:15 Eastern Daylight Time to talk about some of the things that are most important to all of us that are trying to rock our own visions and also trying to master this shift. This craziness that we're all in called quarantine has brought some things that none of us were expecting. And honestly, we don't have a roadmap for. But you know what? That doesn't knock us off the horse, not this group anyway. And this morning, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about one of the pain points and one of the blessings that so many of us deal with, and that is parenting. Parenting in the pandemic is our topic. So I want to welcome you in. Come on in, jump in, get your, you know how I do it. I've got my team right here already. I want you to do the same. Get a notebook because I've got some powerhouse mamas in the house today, and we're going to just talk about it. We're going to have a real chat. This is as real as it gets, you guys. You won't find it any realer right here. Good morning, Christy Kent. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Amy, we got to get Christy in the house one of these days.
Yes, we
have a little chat. Hey, Alicia Newton, I know you got some things to say about this, okay? Alicia Newton, I know she's got some things to say. We are so excited to have all of you this morning. So let's do a check-in. Tell me what happened this weekend. How was your weekend? Was it amazing and you had some breakthroughs? Or maybe you had a breakdown. I don't know. We are talking about parenting. Whatever it is, you can chat about it here. This is a safe space. I just want to let you know and remind you that this is the place where we discover what our options are. And the reality is we have more options than we realize. We say this all the time. And so I've got some amazing women here that are going to talk with us today about parenting in the pandemic. We're going to break it down. We're going to have some breakthroughs. We may have a little Holy Ghost moments. I don't know. But what I do know is we're going to have some fun because these girls make me laugh. Anyway, I want to start with the amazing Amy Pickett, who is looking at 8:15 on a Monday morning. Can we talk about how good she looks, y'all? Come on. Hey, Amy.
It took a lot of work. It did.
Okay. Amy, it's really good to have you here. Would you do me a favor and just introduce yourself to this community? Tell us a little bit about you, what you're doing right now, your family, and yeah, we'll start with that.
Okay, so I'm Amy, and I am a wife, a mom of 4. I have 3 boys and a girl. My oldest is 22. My youngest is 8.
Wow.
And they all live here. I'm gonna throw that out.
We got to talk about that.
And then I have a great husband. He's a wonderful husband, and he's here too.
Awesome.
So, pandemic, you know? Okay. Yeah. And so anyway, let's see. I'm a cosmetologist, a master cosmetologist, and so I do hair and makeup, but makeup I have been working in for over 25 years. Wow. Cosmetology school, I just got a wild hair when I was like, I don't know how old I am now. I think I was 42. I decided to go to cosmetology school and I went to Aveda.
Wow.
But still makeup is my passion, and I also have a makeup business. So that's what I do.
Okay. And what is the name of your makeup business for those who may be interested?
Okay, I sell Mascara Beauty. It's MASKCARA.
Okay.
Not to be confused with this mascara.
Okay.
Which we don't sell yet. So that's always a funny thing. Everybody thinks,
yeah,
your mascara. No, we don't have that. So anyway, but that's what I do. I sell mascara, and it's basically, it's an all-in-one, everything, all my makeup's in here. So my foundation, all the things, everything's in one thing. And then there's beautiful brushes and all cute packaging that girls love. You know what I'm saying?
I do, girl.
Yes. So it's fast makeup. It's like the total highlight and contour in one layer of makeup instead of 10 layers of makeup, and in like 3 minutes instead of 30.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
There you go. So that's what I do. And it has really kicked off during the pandemic. So I'm not really sure how terrible the pandemic has been for me. There you go.
It's okay, girl. You're in a safe space. It's all right. We love makeup in this community, so we need to have a separate conversation about that. But I just wanted to say welcome and thank you for joining us this morning. I can't wait to hear some of your stories. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And then we have the beautiful and the talented Pam Kelly. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning, everyone.
How you doing this morning?
I'm good. It's Monday morning. This is one of those Mondays where I am, that train is like slow to get going, but
I understand,
I'm
girl.
here and happy to be with the group. So I am a single mom of a happy, energetic, strong-willed,
Uh-oh.
hormonal 11-year-old. Yes, and at 50 years old, that's as good as it's going to get. God knew what he was doing
Right.
when he started right there. Let's finish right there for sanity purposes. So it's me and her. I also have a partner, so we're introducing that dynamic as a growing unit, and I'm laughing because I'm listening to him get her out of bed to take her to camp, and so I'm listening to the fight of wheels over here.
Wow.
As we move on, I'm also a budding entrepreneur, and so last year I launched a coaching business for women with ADHD and anxiety. And so since the pandemic, obviously, just with everything's going on, especially right now in the world, it's put me in the space of really thinking more about, the business, how to enhance services. And I have to tell you, I have found the pause to be exhausting and a blessing all at the same time.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exhausting and a blessing. That is powerful.
Mhm.
I want to break that down a little bit in just a moment, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to say thank you for starting your Monday and your week with us, Pam. I know you're super busy. You've got a lot going on, but I do think you have some unique perspective that will bless this community.
Mhm.
And so, what is the name of your business, and how can people find you?
Yeah, Focus Points Coaching Services. So the website is Focus Points Coaching.
Mhm.
And then you can also find me on Facebook at
Awesome.
Focus Points Coaching. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And then last but certainly not least, I've got the beautiful Vanessa Aliaga. She happens to be our operations manager, but she's also a mama. And so I wanted to invite her today, not as part of the staff, but just as one of our guests, because she's got some amazing stories to tell as well. Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning, ladies. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I am Vanessa. I'm a mother of 3. I have an 18-year-old. She is my very grounded, very strong. Then I have a 16-year-old. He is my challenge. He makes me work. And then I have an almost 13-year-old. She is a beauty, a love. And this weekend, I welcomed another baby, a puppy, which we named her Sky because she's got the most amazing, beautiful blue eyes.
Oh.
But
So
I'm here.
Oh.
Yes, I do. And I'm here, blessed with a partner who has been part of our lives for the last 7 years. And I don't know how he does it, but he does it. And he does it with a smile every day. And it's been an amazing ride,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm totally blessed. I'm blessed because I feel that during this pandemic, it's been challenging, but it has taught me a lot, especially to be my children's friend.
Mm. Woo, well, that's a beautiful segue. Thank you, for Vanessa, for being here this morning and for all that you do behind the scenes to help this community come to life. I really appreciate you. And so, what I'm going to ask that you do, just because sounds like we've got a little background noise, and it might be actually me. I've got a new mic here, and that might be part of the problem. Um, but yeah, just put yourself on mute if you're not actually speaking. But we want to invite you to this conversation. And hello, everyone who's joining us live. We have, of course, Coach Alicia Newton, who is one of the amazing leaders in our community. She is a mama, she's a grandma, she's an entrepreneur, she's a business leader in her own right, a social activist, and so much more. We're always delighted that she can join us because she's got a lot going on right now. This is her time. And we have Sarah Juliet Fruman. Good morning, Sarah. Sarah, for those of you who don't know, is our social media marketing manager. She's amazing. If you happen to be looking for a social media specialist for whatever it is you've got going on in your vision, reach out to her. She's amazing. And it looks like, let's see, we may have Kim Dudash coming into the stream. We are so excited. Listen, do me a favor. We're talking about parenting in the pandemic this morning. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and share this in your network. We want to welcome people into the conversation because I think this is really where we begin to unpack some of it. We begin to have honest conversations about the things that we're struggling with. And frankly, some of the things that we're succeeding, some of the lessons that we've learned, and more. All right. So that's the way we're going to do it. So I want to just start off talking about this parenting thing. And Pam, I'm going to start with you because you said something a second ago that I thought was so fascinating. I want to unpack this a little bit. You said the pandemic has been both a blessing and also been exhausting. A little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I will say, ladies, I really do think for many people, throughout this country, in this world, if you chose to accept the mission, the pandemic itself, I think the pause, while challenging and different and something most of us have not experienced in our lives, I think that it has offered us the opportunity to be still. I watched something with Oprah and Ayanla not too long ago. I think she had a series about fear. And so, one of the things that she talked about, Ayanla talked about that I thought was profound is the fact that if there are any struggles that we were having or going through, especially with the pandemic, homeschooling, relationships, if it was there, it was going to rear its ugly head during the pandemic. And so the pause, I don't know for other people, but for me, forced me to deal with anything that was beneath the surface that I had to deal with. And so let me say that homeschooling came with its obvious challenges, but it also gave me an opportunity to just look at my child, to look at my daughter, to look at our relationship, to look at things that, I may have been missing that she needs or needs more of. And to see some of, the challenges that, has been easy for me to to project, instead of looking at, where can I sharpen some of my own parenting skills. So that's been the blessing. The pause has been the blessing. The exhausting part is the obvious, as a single mom and a entrepreneur, in the house, 3 months, that's That's just not normal. That's just not. What I learned is, I know for sure God did not design us to creatures to be in one space for extended periods of time. I don't think that's just a natural phenomenon that will happen that easily. And so my daughter, of course, when they're young, they don't have the ability to reason and articulate everything that they're experiencing. It just comes out in all these different behaviors that you have to navigate, and then we're triggering each other like, what do you call those things? Tasers, walking around the house, tasing each other all day. So that's another thing. The other blessing I will say is I feel like I've been forced to see myself, because you have to do a lot of regulating of your emotions for the sake of, not hurting your child or not emotionally abusing your child. And a lot of it is just you with everything you already have going on, and not so much of what what my daughter was doing wrong. So those are the blessings. The exhausting part is just the work. It's been tackling it all in uncertain times, number one, in unprecedented times.
Right.
Number two, and on top of looking ahead, many of us have been impacted from a business perspective. And so for me, it was trying to look ahead, not let fear creep in, figure out how to still move forward. Are there any adjustments or shifts I need to make?
Yeah.
While still doing this homeschooling and making sure my daughter is still all in every day. I don't know about you all, but when they said we're going to pass you anyway, we went from a praise and applause to a downhill battle, because my daughter quickly realized, well, what do I got to do it anyway? Why do I have to do this? Why, Mom? I'm going to pass to the 7th grade anyway, because you need to do the work. So then that started, obviously, yes, it's done. And then you talk to the teachers like, no, haven't had anything in a week. Then you have to check the work. And I don't know about you guys, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, the digital world of schools today, it took me a week. It took me a week to figure out how to track it and go from there. So that's a part of what's been exhausting, managing her behavior, managing her schooling, trying to look ahead, dealing with, the financial aspects of it all as well. It's just, that's been a lot. And then and I try to cut the news off, because everything that you see on TV, if you're not careful, it becomes toxic. It just, it infiltrates your spirit. At least for me, I couldn't do all of that and try to keep up with what's going on in the world. So we had to manage this little space in order for me to do my best.
So
every day.
you've unpacked so much. Like, I think we could probably have a show just on each one of those things that you talked about.
Karen always tells me that.
But I'm serious, because that was so rich.
Yeah.
And I think it was so real, right?
Yeah.
You just described for so many parents what I call compound injury. Yeah, there's some blessings that come out of it.
Yeah.
But just the idea of being, you said it so well. We were never created to just be in one kind of environment forever.
Yeah.
And there's so much that I think that we've taken for granted.
Yes.
And as parents, bringing another soul into that journey, an impressionable young, and even for some of us that have adult children that are at home, or older children that are at home that would have normally been somewhere else, they're like I I turned around one day and I looked at my son who was 11, and I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing here? He's like, Mom. I'm like, oh, right. Hey, bro, what are you doing? Like, in the moment, I just had a moment. I was like, what are you doing here? I'm about to go into a meeting, right? And so you've talked about a lot and we're laughing about it, but that's very, very real.
Yeah.
And the fact that we had to do so many things all at once. We called this phase that we're in the Rock Your Vision community, mastering the shift, because we had to master the shift instantly. Like, we had to be on team meetings in a virtual environment. Many of us were not in a virtual environment. We had to figure out all the technology. We had to homeschool, just the art of teaching another small human.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Pickett.
And can I just say, real quick,
just that whole dynamic,
yeah.
where somebody else had figured out the routine for our kid and
Yeah.
figured out what helps them learn and what doesn't, and now I have to do it. And
Yeah.
let me just say, can I just say right here, I need to have a moment. I need to talk about our teachers. Just a minute. If you're a
We
teacher,
honor you.
listen to me. If you're a teacher in this community, I need to hear from you before this stream is over. If you are a teacher, you are actively teaching, I need to hear from you. Send me a DM on Facebook and Sarah will grab it. I need to talk to 2 teachers because I've got a little gift for you. I just want to say I'm not worthy, and y'all walk on water. I mean, don't send me any nasty grams about whether or not that's religious or not. I just need to say to those teachers out there, y'all are brilliant and smart and beautiful and all of that, because to understand, and I think that's one of the really good things, maybe that we weren't expecting coming out of this, is that we've had an opportunity as parents to see that it in fact takes a village to raise a child. Now, many of you are homeschooling already, and this is normal for you. You are your community. And I just want to say you're beautiful and smart too, because there's some stuff that we needed to learn from y'all. And, I don't think it's an either or conversation, and I'm being lighthearted here, but I'm just saying that I think one of the benefits of this time has really been that we're able to see how things function outside of our expectations and outside of our world. Does that resonate with anybody? Like, does that make sense? The fact that now we're able to see some things from a different perspective. Pam, I love what you said about being able to see your child differently, seeing what they need, seeing how they operate. Because what do we do as parents? Pre-COVID, it's like, come on, let's go.
Yes.
Out. Let's get out of bed.
Yes.
I got to work. I got to do
That's
this.
exactly right.
Right? We've got all of these things
Yes.
that we're missing and that we have missed, and now we can't miss them anymore. So, Pam, thanks for sharing that. I love your perspective that you're kind of able to take a step back about this whole concept of parenting in this environment. I want to talk for a second about this concept of feeling like you're in a wilderness. One of the parents that I talked with early on was talking about, she's like, Karen, I just feel lost. Like, this is somebody who's a power broker. Like, they're doing big things. They've got, a job. They've got, I think she's got 5 kids, and she's like, I feel lost. And so we began thinking about what it feels like to be in this wilderness season of having to be in a pandemic while we're doing all the things that we thought we knew how to do, and suddenly we don't know how to do them. Can we talk about that concept for just a minute, this idea of feeling lost and bewildered? If you could describe, Vanessa, some of the feelings using adjectives, talk for a moment about what you felt in this season. Like, for me, I felt lost and disoriented and a little overwhelmed. What words would you use to describe what you felt during this time?
I think I felt everything, but mostly at the beginning, I felt fear, a lot of fear of what was happening. Unfortunately, right now, we're living in a very unsettled world. And And the one thing I'm learning now towards my children is to be compassionate and to be very empathetic. I'm trying very hard to be empathetic, especially with my son. My son he has ADD, and he struggled most of his life. However, in September, from September to March, his grades were all A's, and he worked so hard. This week, and I'll say this quickly, this is a short story. This week, I decided to check on his grades. He had 2 D's and 4 F's. So I lost it. I completely lost it. And I wasn't empathetic. I took it to the extreme. From an F and from D's, his grades immediately shifted to a B and a C, all B's and C's. So I asked him, what happened? I don't understand. If you would have completed your work on time, you could have gotten A's. You could have continued what you were creating at the beginning. And you know what he said to me? He says, I'm not motivated. This online training, learning is not for me. I want to have face-to-face conversation, not through a screen. He said, wow. This is a screen. And you know what I do? And it's true. He said, I put the camera off. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be able to have that conversation with a teacher or with my school, my mates, my school, the other children. Because this is not for me. And I just stood there.
How old is your son, Vanessa?
16.
16.
And I stood there, I looked at him, and I hugged him. I said, I'm sorry. And he said, no. So what I've learned at the beginning, it was a lot of fear. It was an emotional, it was a lot of fear. And I guess it had to do something with 9/11, being part of 9/11. And then this pandemic. So I was confused. I'm like, what's happening? Is everyone dying? Oh my God, or what am I going to do? I sort of wanted to keep my kids in a little bubble. Yeah. So my oldest then, she has a boyfriend. She's graduating. So I wasn't allowing her to do a thing. So it was, she was going through her emotional roller coaster. So what did I have? Immediately I had to sort of shift that, and I had to pray. I prayed so much to give me that strength and to believe that we are going to be okay. We're going to make it work.
So let's talk for a second what you just said, which I thought was so powerful. Your fear and your worry, the way you were processing was kind of unpacked on your children.
Correct.
Can I get an amen from anybody? I mean, is anybody like, I mean, that is just so powerful and so real. And Vanessa, I appreciate you sharing that very vulnerable story about your son and also about your daughter. But I think there's something that I want to make sure we don't skip over. And that is that, and Vanessa has shared this before in this community, and that is that Vanessa is a survivor of 9/11, but she's also a survivor of the prior terrorist attack in New York. So this powerful experience of the pandemic, as she describes here, is almost like a trigger, right? So she's processing, and this is big stuff. This isn't like, oh, I've got to figure out what to wear. This is, I got to figure out, are my kids safe? Am I safe? Like all of that kind of stuff. And so I love what you said about being compassionate and being, I forget the other word that you used.
Empathy.
And being empathetic with your children. Wow. And that is like, that just sets me free. Because my experience has been trying to keep some sort of order. Like, okay, I gotta keep it together. I gotta make sure everything stays okay and in one place. I've got to keep some semblance of normal. And for a while, I did everything I could to try to keep the reality of what was happening to us from my son. Anybody?
Yeah, I just have to say thank you, Vanessa, because my daughter also has ADHD, and that part was, when I heard you say I had empathy, was huge for me, because it's so easy to forget to give that to our children, especially when they're bright, intelligent, strong-willed, but they have this piece that they're struggling with, and it's not on, and they already have a hard enough time with the rest of the world. So I really appreciate hearing that from you.
Oh no, of course, of course. You know, it's difficult, you know, and I was a single mom for so long.
Yeah.
So I had to, you know, deal with a lot of traumatic stress and other, and then I had 3 different personalities that I had to work on, plus my own.
Yeah.
So it was powerful, and it's something that and I'm still learning. Like, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. I know that this wasn't God sent to give us this pandemic, but I think He wanted us to learn a lesson, and it was the unity.
Yeah. You know, I appreciate you saying that, Vanessa, that, because I personally believe, this is not a religious show, but I personally believe that you know, we don't serve a God that would send us things to harm us, but I do think that He will use what happens. I don't think He will waste anything. He will use it to teach us. And so I know that I've had that conversation so many times with myself. You know, our children, as fast as we move with them, it's easy to think that, you know, well, they've got their routine. They know what to do. You should know this. I've said that I can't tell you how many times. You should know this. How many times have we done this? How many times have we done this? Right? But the reality is that children process differently than adults. I recognized something in my own son, and I'm curious if this has happened to you guys, but early on, he was just trying to keep it moving. I mean, you know, school got shut down, and initially it was like, vacation! You know, it was exciting. And then it was like, I got to do more school online. I don't like this. And then it was like, wait a minute, I have to wear a mask. I can't go outside and see my friends. What does that mean? And so then it began to get very scary. And initially, my son was just, like I said, going through the motions and just trying to, you know, be cool. But then, I'm not sure I understand. But then that was Siri saying she's not sure she understands. So I'm going to help her understand. Anyway, and I noticed something a few weeks later, something that was, to me, inconsequential, made my son just full on just break down in tears. Anybody like you think everything's okay, and then all of a sudden it's like and yeah, we've got kids that are hormonal and dealing with all, you know, their life and all that sort of thing. But the reality is I had to stop for a moment and realize that my 5'4" size 11, 150-pound child is dealing with it in his own way. So I'd love to hear, how are your kids, Amy, let's start with you. How are your kids dealing with this? What are you seeing?
So with the 2 little boys, they, first of all, besides the fact that this is just a weird time, you know, like, what do you mean a pandemic and everybody's going to get sick and they have to stay in their houses? You know, that just seems so crazy that we would have to live through something like that. I mean, we just don't see things like that coming, right? So boys and girls this age have so much energy. They have nothing to do with it, stuck in the house. So I think that was their biggest thing. They just wanted to go, you know. I would have to say that the child who has suffered the most is my daughter. She's 17. She's going into her senior year of high school. And if you've had teenagers, you know, this is the biggest social time of your life.
Yeah.
And it's being cut off.
Yeah.
Like she had the world
Yeah.
at her fingertips. And then it was like, whew, she was put into a box.
Yeah.
And she's very extroverted.
Yeah.
Okay, so there have been a lot of tears from her. A lot of tears. And at first, I didn't see it, that it was bothering her as much as it was. And then we were in her room one day and she just broke down. And I was like, why are you keeping this to yourself? Because she was trying to be strong. She was trying to be, you know, how adults do. Mm-hmm. But she's not an adult. And so, and then I just stopped and I thought and remembered back. Sometimes we just need to go back and remember what it was like for us when we were 17.
Oh, wow. It's like compassion again.
I didn't want to be home. Come on, y'all. Think about it. Yeah. You wanted to be out with your friends, not because I didn't love my parents. I loved my parents. Still do. Have a great relationship with them. But I didn't want to be home. I wanted to be with my friends.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I could only imagine how much of how negatively it has impacted like teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just something that we've had to deal with because there wasn't anything to do about it. You know what I mean? You still couldn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. Now there's been a little bit more activity now that we've kind of come out of things a little bit. So that's been pleasing, but it still isn't enough.
Yeah. So you've got this milestone dynamic, right? So whether it's getting ready to go into senior year or getting ready to go to college or getting ready to go into 6th grade, right? Any number of those types of big events. I've even talked to some moms who have children who were supposed to start their master's degree or graduate their master's degree programs. These are magnificent milestones for these young people, and they've had to shift. That's a reality that we've dealt with. So we've talked a little bit about some of the intrinsic things that we've done, expressing compassion, listening to our kids, seeing them, slowing down, being aware of our own kind of issues and things that we're dealing with. But I want to talk for a second about some of the things that you're doing that are working relative to running businesses or going to work while you are parenting. I just need somebody to just say amen and pass the wine. That right there is like, it's enough to break a person. Can I just be honest about it? It's enough to break you, where I'm sitting talking with, you know, the chief of staff of something, and my son comes in and he's like, Mom, can I have a snack? Or Billy hit me. And I'm like, you know, I'm like doing this in the screen, trying to like not let my arms be seen and mouthing to him, I'm going to knock you into next week. Maybe that's just me. Don't send me any hate mail. Yes, that is.
I'm sitting here texting Nelson and Sanaya, trying to keep them on track as we're talking. Like, don't do that. Just go at 10. Are you?
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. We got Beverly Wilkes in the house. Hold on a minute. Just one second. This is another reality of quarantine. My eyelash is coming off. Hold on a minute. Okay. Anyway, we got Beverly Wilkes in the house. And she's, first of all, good morning, Beverly. It's so good to see you in here. Beverly says, my daughter is a teen who is really social and is having a very difficult time. Bless her sweet heart. She has never wanted the homeschool experience. I was expecting her to keep the regular schedule. Let's talk about that. My gosh, I was expecting my kid to do the same, Beverly. But it was too many conflicts. So I had to be flexible and step back. Okay, that's something, I mean, we've kind of alluded to it, but we haven't really called it out. So Beverly, thanks for mentioning that. We need to be flexible with our kids. We're going to dive into that in just a moment. But she said I had to step back and not projecting my feelings and strict expectations. My goodness, that's powerful. Having to be flexible. My son is, like I said, he's 11. He's in that hormonal time as well. He's also a Scorpio. We're 20 days apart from each other. So he's basically a mini me. And getting him out of bed is like prying concrete off of concrete. It just does not, like, I'm serious. I had to wake him up today at 7:30 to get out the door at 9 to go to camp. And thank goodness there are socially distanced organized camps available now, but at least in our area. But yeah, having to be flexible to say, okay, Karen, take a chill pill. He does not need to get up that early, boo. Come on. Like letting go of the expectation and not kind of projecting some sort of value judgment on our kids because they haven't figured it out, because they're struggling or going through their stuff. That's deep. That's real. Beverly, thank you so, so much for sharing that. I want to just check in with this community. And I want to ask you, for those of you that either have kids or maybe you are a caregiver. We haven't talked about caregivers yet. The grandmas, the aunties, the sisters and brothers, the dads. Oh my gosh, dad, come on. Who are also pulling double duty in trying to navigate this time. I just want to say a shout out to all of you who are doing the do and supporting children, trying to take care of children, trying to keep kids busy. Woo, you get it. Like, seriously, I think that's probably going to be like a brand new profession, is helping children and parents figure that rhythm out in this time where, we have to be quarantined. And there are actually consultants and moms who have started online virtual communities that are mastering the shift by teaching those things to those of us who are brand new. So, I mean, we're innovating in the time, but that's really, really real. So for a moment, let's go back to this topic of working while you're parenting. Any other tips? Vanessa, what do you find that's working for you? Things that maybe you've employed. You've talked about being flexible. You've talked about being compassionate. Any other tips as it relates to working while you're quarantining with your kids for summer?
I have been very strict on a schedule with myself, not my children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very flexible with them. I've learned to, just as long as you do your work. Obviously, my son wasn't doing it, but I understand his reasoning why. But for me, I was on a strict schedule, and I made sure during that schedule I had some time one-on-one with each child, even if it was a 10-minute one-on-one.
That's really good. That's really good.
But I mostly spent a lot more time with my oldest, to Beverly's comment about being a little bit more flexible. She's a senior. While in school, she practically worked full time, not because I forced her. This is something she wanted, but this was a stop. It stopped her world. She couldn't go back to work. She had 3 different jobs: a dog sitter, a babysitter, and a waitress, and a full-time honor roll student. This stopped.
Wow.
She couldn't see her boyfriend. She couldn't go to work. There was a lot of things she couldn't do. So she got really, really depressed. So last week, about 3 weeks ago, she said to me, Jackson, who's her boyfriend, we may all go to his lake house. If it would have been me a couple of months ago before pandemic, I would have been like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
This time I told her, I need you to go and create memories.
Wow.
Go create memories, go have fun, enjoy yourself.
Wow.
She was surprised. So that's what I am implementing in my work life now that we're at home is one-on-one with your children. I make sure that even if it's 5 minutes, taking walks with them, just spending time with them. And now that we have this new addition into our family, we're trying to all of us sort of make time to have dinner, which prior to that, we never had dinner, but now we're doing that as well. We're having dinner as a family.
I really appreciate you sharing that, Vanessa. And I think for me, what I take away from that is something that I recognized, and that as an entrepreneur, I literally can work, from sun up to sundown, even pre-COVID. And I think during this time when our kids need a little more reassurance, even our older kids, what you just shared is like incredible wisdom. So for those of you that are, doing the hustle, like the rest of us, taking that time to see them, not to just have a computer at the couch and kind of look off and have a conversation, but to actually just remove the things that could be distractions, to just see your kid and connect with them and just do something simple.
Are you getting my messages?
And also setting boundaries for yourself, as well as setting boundaries for those who would kind of, you're getting the constant text, you're getting the constant reminders, you're getting all of those things, setting boundaries to create space for your family. One of the other tips that I shared really early on is to create spaces for relationship. So, regardless of what size house you have, my son would come in here in my office and he'd talk to me, and that would be my version of talking. But what I realized is that this is my space. It's not his space. Come on. That's good. It was my space, but it wasn't his space. So finding opportunity to go into that space with him, whether it's his room or the movie room or the backyard or wherever that is, and just literally slowing down your brain. Because I don't know about you, but one of the things that's happened to me is this kind of, my brain is always firing. It's like boom, 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 boom. I got to process this. I got to remember that. I got to do this. You got all those things going on, but literally just kind of disciplining myself to slow down my brain. Because the reality is our kids don't have all that kind of mess going on. They got stuff going on, but not as much as we do. And so I think for that what you just mentioned, Vanessa, was so helpful for me to remember to keep doing that, even as we're coming out of quarantine. Because the reality is there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of things going on in the news that are scary. And it takes a minute to just kind of slow your brain down. Yeah. Anybody want to contribute to that? Just your thinking around, creating space just for your kids. Pam, Amy?
Yeah, I will add that one of the things that I tried to do early on was to give Sanaya tools that she could use to self-manage during the day, because a lot like Vanessa, it took me a good month or so to figure it out when I saw I wasn't being productive. Mm-hmm. And I realized it's because I was spending so much time, behind her and making sure she's doing everything she's doing on top of the 1,000 interruptions a day. So I use timers. And I realized for her, especially, with her own self-regulation challenges, was good. It was helpful. 30 minutes work, 10-minute break, 45 minutes work. She had a timer. She could manage that and show me her work as she went on. The other thing that I made sure to do is that she and I exercise together and or walk. That was also a good time for us to talk
Great. Yeah.
and catch up with each other. And the other thing I did, that I use as a tool, one, to give her some more independence, and two, free me up from chasing chores or is this done, is that done, is I got her a debit card that parents can manage for children, that also teaches them how to manage money, and we tied it to her chores and we have it in her hall, and she can choose to do it or not do it, but mommy supplies her needs, she supplies her wants, and so we tied the chores to some dollars. And as we've gone on, she's seeing, like, the first week she had the potential to earn $25. She earned $2. And then she was like, oh, can I shred something for you? What do you need? No, your chores.
Free girl, I'll be excited for that right now, for this fall right now.
She already had a list of things she needs, because the other thing too is kids that are bored. We have to get her manage social media better during her downtime, because I will tell you, to me, an idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
So I also used different virtual summer camps, to try to get her to do some things. But I've given her as many tools as possible. I've scheduled my office hours 9 to 5 off limits until I'm taking a break. Then we can connect. I've also shared with her mind dump, because a lot of children, especially those like us whose mind goes fast, she wants to say everything right now. Nope, you have a pad, you write it down, you do your mind dumping, and then we'll talk about it during my breaks. So giving her more of what she could use to self-manage, and taking myself out of some things so that I'm not all stressed out, it's a work in progress, for us to continue to make the adjustments, but the tools themselves have been helpful.
Wow, that is so great. I think using tools to organize her time, and then I like your idea about doing that mind dump. So giving them an opportunity to kind of get down all of their things, and then giving yourself breaks so that she can pop in and say, hey mom, whatever. That's great. Beverly says I have the same tool. So Pam, when we get off this call, I need you to help some sisters out and pop a link in the comments to that tool, because we'd like to. I know, at least I'd like to get some more information about that as a way to kind of give kids an opportunity. Because my son is fascinated with my credit card. Like when we go to the grocery store or whatever, he's like, Mom, let me do it. Let me do it. Let me do it. So that's a great tool. We've talked about some pretty pretty raw and real things. I love that. We've also talked about some strategies that I think can help. And I appreciate all of you sharing, but I've got to ask, I need your funniest pandemic story, your funniest pandemic parenting story. Your funniest pandemic parenting story. Where do I begin? Okay. Let me just talk about the fact that I've had more time to be just laugh until my side hurts. Because at some point, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And I've cried too. I'm going to be honest with you. I've cried more than a few times. But I think there's something about laughing at yourself that I think we have to remember. For those of us that are accustomed to following schedules and managing clients and projects and all that sort of thing, it's so easy to do what we've talked about here, which is, you've got things in a certain expectation and a certain schedule. But I just want to say to some mama out there, to some dad or grandma who's struggling, I want you to remember to forgive yourself, to give yourself a break, right? To not take yourself quite so seriously as we navigate this time, because the reality is that none of us have figured it out. But just trying to remember to lean into it a little bit. For me, it's summer here in Georgia for our kids. So online school has stopped, but I had my son on a regular set bedtime. I let him sleep a couple of nights last week on the couch. We finished watching a movie and he fell asleep. I let him sleep where he was, and we made a sleepover out of it, an at-home sleepover, and that was fun for me. It got me kind of out of work mode. But just remembering to give yourself permission to just not know what you're doing for a minute. Like, many of us have figured some things out, but it's okay to just relax a little bit and to cut yourself a break. All right, here we go. Funniest pandemic story. Anybody? I know y'all got some stories, and Amy Pickett, don't you try me.
Listen, I've been trying to think of a funny pandemic story, and I just can't remember. But I don't really remember yesterday either. So,
I have one I can share that comes to mind really quickly.
I want you to keep thinking. Pam's going to share hers.
This may be helpful, Amy. So with me and Sanaya and Nelson all in the house on the weekends, this went on for like 3 days straight. I would be doing something, washing Sanaya's hair, and Nelson's over in the living room doing something. And so I would say, babe, don't do this. Or for example, if she's moving around with her hair and he's like, huh, what are you saying? And then he'll say something back to me and I'm like, no, babe, you need to do X, Y, Z. And Sanaya was like, Mom, I'm not doing anything. And then we go on and I'm like, babe, and then we, get to where they're both talking back to me. And I'm like, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to her. And so for 3 days, or they both start talking to me at the same time. And I'm like, babe, wait, why do I have to wait? Nelson was like, what are you talking about? Do you hear me? I said, Mom, Sanaya was like, Mom, I am waiting. So finally, Sanaya said to me, Mom, you have to come up with a new nickname for one of us. We can't both be babe because we don't know who you talk. And I'm getting upset and going off on both of them. Stop talking. I'm talking.
Oh my God.
So I haven't mastered the other nickname yet because I've just learned to say Sanaya or babe. But that was driving me crazy for 3 days. And
you know what? Moms everywhere are thanking you right now because that's your next tip is to organize your nicknames.
Yeah, organize the nicknames.
Oh my gosh. And I just, I wanted 8 boys. When I was coming up, I'm like, I want a house full of boys. I got 1 and I'm about to lose my ever loving mind. And so for those of you that have multiple kids, I don't know how you do it, but in my house, everybody does have a nickname. And eventually, and this happens, the nicknames kind of transfer to the other person. And so one of my nicknames is Booba. I'm not going to talk about it. We're not going there. Booba. And I start calling everybody Booba. The dog is Booba. The cat is Booba. And Pam, I'm telling you, like, everybody's turning to look at me. I'm like, don't y'all try me. Anyway, thank you for sharing that story. See, you can have fun and lose your mind at the same time. It's possible. Okay, Amy?
Okay, so I don't know how funny this is, but I will say I'm gonna tell on myself. When you can't beat them, you gotta join them, right?
Yes.
So I play Fortnite now. And I just told everybody. It's been a secret because I was kind of ashamed. But it's fun, and I'm not gonna lie. And
don't be. A lot of parents are doing TikTok.
Well, I downloaded it, but I haven't done one yet.
Oh my gosh, I can't. One of our community members, Heidi Luckenbach, is like TikTok obsessed. I have not transitioned yet, but I have seen some of the things on there, and I'm telling you, like, I think TikTok is going to become like the face chat or the Insta group for parents, because I'm serious. That is real. Like, starting to do the things that kids are doing just to pass the time. Okay, I'm not going to talk real loud because my husband is next door, but y'all lean in and don't say anything, okay? My husband is feeding my birds and walking the dog. Shh. It's just between us. My husband hates animals. I know. So good. Vanessa, how about you?
I do have one pandemic story. To me, it's historical, and it has to do with my son. At the beginning of pandemic, we decided that each one was going to make a dinner, cook a meal. So my little one, she's a chef and she's a baker. She loves all of that stuff. So one day it was my son's turn, the first time ever. And I said, okay, so what are you going to make? He's like, Mom, I don't know. It's like, can you do it for me? Can we cheat? And I said, no, you got to do this on your own. So he just sat there for a while and he's staring at me. He's like, I got it. And I said, oh, really? He goes, yep, I got it. And I said, what are you making? He goes, chicken and waffles. So he took the frozen tenders, put them in the oven, put the frozen waffles in the microwave. And at the end, he's like, thank you. You're very welcome. This is dinner and we're all done. He was just, I'm not going to get
all hold up about it.
And we just looked at him and we thought it was we just started laughing. We couldn't stop. Meanwhile, the other two, my daughters are creating this huge meal, especially the little one, dessert and everything. But his was just frozen chicken and frozen waffles. And there you go.
Bless that baby's heart. I love that. I think this whole thing about parenting in the pandemic, it has been both a blessing and a challenge. I know that there are so many who are still trying to figure it out. But I want to say something to all of you parents out there. You know what? Well done. You have absolutely done the lion's share. You have stepped up to the plate and you've gotten innovative and creative. You've leaned in, you've challenged yourself. Many of you have formed stronger relationships with your kids and with your spouses. And I think that's something to be celebrated. Like, I know we're talking about all of the things that have gone wrong and all of the things that we didn't expect, but I think there's also something really beautiful and important about what's happened. I know in my own community, I've seen families walking together and riding, like literally whole tribes of families outside playing together, sitting outside on the front porch. When do we do that? Especially in suburbia and in the city, people don't really do that because they don't really have a lot of time. And so there's so many things that have gone right. But I want to say something to those of you that are struggling, because that is also real. This idea that, you are kind of confined and you have magnified every other thing that's going on out there, that can be really real. And it can feel like you're on an island. But particularly for those of you that are part of the free group coaching community, you can find that by going to the button at the top of the banner in this community, in the Rocky Vision community. It says visit group. Pop in there. If you aren't already a part of that community, we want to share with you some of the things that are going to be coming up. And one of those things is we're going to be doing a free webinar, and it's called The Path Back to Your Why. One of the things we've heard over and over and over again is that people are feeling frustrated that they've had to let go of so much. Some people's jobs have been affected. Some people have had to put on hold plans that they had, all of those things that are happening there. They say to me, you know what? I feel stuck. I feel like I'm in that wilderness that we were talking about. Like, I don't know how to get back to what I was doing. That's very real. Well, in this webinar, it's absolutely free. We're going to be talking about how to get back to your why. And I'm really excited because some of the women from our community, some of the people from our community, we have men and women in our community, are going to be sharing some of their stories, some of the things that have worked for them. And we've got some resources and tools that we're going to be sharing with this community, absolutely free. That's right, because that's the way we roll right now. And so I want to encourage you to stay connected and to jump into that free group coaching community. We've got a lot of great things going on in there, and there's more coming. I cannot wait for you to see what's going on. Well, our time is up. We've gone a little bit over, but I just want to thank all of you for joining me for Monday Morning Jumpstart. This is the place we gather every Monday at 8:15 Eastern Daylight Time to really help you figure out what it means to master the shift. I hope that this topic on parenting in the pandemic has given you some strategies and some tools and some inspiration. And I want to thank all of my beautiful guests for joining me this morning. It's been amazing. I'm going to go around kind of the virtual room and just one more time, let us know how we can get in touch with you if you have a product or service. Amy, I'm going to start with you. Just maybe a parting word to this community, and then let us know how we can get a hold of you.
Okay, it was great. Thank you for having me. I really appreciated being here. It was such an honor. And I really loved hearing from the other ladies. It was really amazing.
Yeah.
So makeup. You can get in touch with me for makeup.
Yes.
Awesome makeup. Okay, so my Instagram handle is Amy Pickett. It's Pickett. My beauty group on Facebook is Amy's Beauty Nook, and I spell AMY. And then you can also call or text me. My number is 678-793-0233. And I would love to help you out in any way that I can. And if you just want to talk about parenting, I can do that too. I'm not an expert, but I do have 4 kids.
You're an expert, girl. Thank you so much, Amy. It was so good to have you. Pam, how about for you? One parting little piece of wisdom, and then how can people reach you?
Yeah, so the one nugget that I would share with the community here is to just remember the power in the pause, whether we're in a pandemic or not. I think the biggest, most beautiful lesson that I've learned is the importance of staying present, especially with our children. Time goes fast, they grow fast. So pausing, enjoying the moment, and practicing staying present. My name, again, Pamela Kelly. My business is Focus Points Coaching Service. I provide coaching to women who have ADHD and anxiety. You can find me at focuspointscoaching.com and on Facebook. I provide both coaching services and then support groups. So it was a pleasure, Karen, being here again with you and in the community. I love it. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So glad to have you, Pam. And Miss Vanessa, one parting nugget, and how can people reach you?
Oh, the biggest nugget, and I echo Pamela's words. It's just enjoying life every day.
Yeah.
Living it every single day, every moment, every second. When I'm feeling anxious or when I'm having a sort of a panic attack, as I said the other day, to me, my kitchen is small and there were too many people. And I just paused there and my sister looked at me. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I just said, "Yes, I'm blessed. I have a kitchen. There's so many out there that don't have a kitchen. So what am I complaining about? Why am I having this anxiety attack?
Right.
I have a kitchen." And I left a room and I said a little prayer and I prayed for the world because we're having so many complicated moments at the moment. So let's just enjoy life. Life is short.
Yeah, that's such great wisdom and a great way to wrap up. Thank you, Vanessa. I'm so honored to have you in the community and so glad you could join us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Listen to me. We're going to be gathering again, like I said, every Monday at 8:15. We always have a new topic. And here's what I would say. We would love to know what would be helpful for you as you figure out how to rock your vision. I've often had people say to me, Karen, how is it I can rock my vision? I mean, have you seen the news? And I'm like, yeah, I have seen the news. And you know what? I struggle kind of in that new season as well. But here's what I know: there's still work to do. There are so many opportunities and needs. And yes, many of us have experienced loss. We have to recognize that. But at some point, we have to stabilize ourselves. And whether we're in quarantine and we're living in the era of the Jetsons, where, we've literally got a bubble over our head, or we can walk around and go back to life as normal or the new normal, we have work to do. I think we've got more options than we realize. And by all accounts, I'm telling you that I think that resonates in this community. Some of the women and men in this community are doing amazing things. People are starting businesses. People have found new streams of income. People are growing their family. They're discovering their tools and resources that they have. They're going back to school. They're creating new products. I could go on. There is so much to do. And one of the things that we're committed to doing in this community is helping you figure that out. So I want you to stay tuned for the upcoming webinar that is called The Path Back to Your Why. I'm going to give you some tools and resources that are going to help you, regardless of what you're going through, whether you're working for somebody else or working for yourself, get you back to what's most important to you. That's really the object here. So we're going to sign off for now. We've gotten your Monday started the right way, having this amazing conversation with these amazing mamas talking about parenting in the pandemic. I want to thank all of you for joining. And I want you to remember, at the end of the day, you have more options than you realize. I'm convinced of it. All right, everybody, we will see you next week. Make sure to stay tuned and register for our free group coaching community. That is such a hard thing to say. I got to figure out something different to say. But anyway, y'all get it. And I'll see you on the other side. Have a good morning, everybody. Thanks, ladies.